Yep, sure. Bryan Law, Bryan Law.
What should we put with your title, Bryan?
Peace activist. A veteran peace activist.
Veteran peace activist. Okay.
Thank you.
Bryan, just tell us, what are your plans for Talisman Sabre?
Well, Talisman Sabre's a huge exercise in military aggression about invading other countries. I'm completely convinced that Australia should not be at war, should not be preparing for war, and that all citizens who are peace-loving will want to see exercise Talisman Sabre stopped.
So what are your plans? How are you going to stop it?
Well, there are a number of actions that will take place. There are trespassing actions into the live fire zones to put activists in danger so that the troops have to stop what they're doing and respond to that situation. There are some 300 military aircraft movements into and out of Rockhampton Airport during the exercise. I and some friends will be trying our very best to disable a US military helicopter or fixed-wing plane at Rockhampton Airport and cost millions of dollars of damage if we can do it.
How are you going to do that?
With a mattock and a hammer and agricultural implements in the fulfilment of the prophecy of Isaiah, the one about beating swords into ploughshares and spears into pruning hooks. We will be disabling a modern military aircraft using agricultural tools.
How are you going to get to the aircraft? Are you worried it'll be, tied up? Or?
Look, the aircraft is stored in what they call a secure area. Personally, I've been able to break into the Pine Gap spy base in Central Australia. I've broken into the Shoalwater Bay military exercise area. There are kilometres of very simple fencing around these facilities, and at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, most of that high security is asleep. So the military pretend that they are invulnerable and make no mistakes. In reality, it's a very easy system to penetrate and damage.
How many troops have you got on your side?
None. None. We don't have troops.
How many activists, peace activists do you have?
Practicing the kind of non-violence that I do, interventionary non-violence, we will see perhaps 3 or 4 dozen during the course of the exercise. People who have a less committed form of protest and simply want to express an opinion, we'll see hundreds of those during the course of the exercise, and this year we'll see more related action in Sydney and Canberra and Brisbane.
So you're going to actually try and put yourselves and the other activists in the firing line. Are you worried about anyone actually being shot?
Well, the only people we are putting in danger is ourselves. And I am worried about people getting shot. Mostly I'm worried about the children in tribal Afghanistan and the civilians today in Libya who are being shot. It's not an academic question of do you take some risk. We're engaged in the systematic murder of children and civilians. To try and stop that, I'm willing to take a risk, and so are my friends. The only thing we're not willing to do is put anyone else in danger.
So you're going to stand in the firing line to stop those exercises, you're going to disarm or disable a helicopter. What else have you got planned?
Isn't that enough?
That's about it, yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what about the consequences, Bryan? Jail?
Prison. You know, Alexander Solzhenitsyn, who wrote the Gulag Archipelago, was a famous Russian dissident. He used to talk about the inner zone of the prison being the gulags he was sent to, and then he used to talk about the outer zone being the whole of Russia, which he also said was a prison. And the country was controlled by the fear of the gulag. In Australia, we're supposed to be a democracy, and the large majority of citizens oppose this war, but it's bipartisan. The government's going to fight it. The only place a person of principle can be is in the prisons for resisting. So
you're not worried about going to prison?
Well, it's not nice. You know, I'd rather be out here with my family, with my wife and my son. My son is 12 years old. But I can't live a life of ease and comfort that other people are paying for with blood.
What do your family think of all this?
Well, they're not happy. My son tells me I don't have his permission to do it, and he would prefer me to stay out here with him. And of course, Margaret faces a pretty hard row as a single parent working professional. But they both understand that this is not, it's not a trivial issue. It's a matter of deepest conscience. And I will act this way because this is the right way to act.
Have you been in jail before?
I have been.
Tell us about it.
Various prisons. I spent time in the maximum security prison at Bogger Road, which was a rare treat. And I've been on prison farms. Prison, the worst punishment in prison is sensory deprivation. They don't let you have or do anything with your mind. And you're stuck in some pretty ordinary circumstances with some pretty poor quality food. And of course a lot of men with a history of violence. They're not so violent in prison because there's no alcohol or drugs there, or very few, and it's a sober world, but it's prison is meant to be a punishment, and it is.
You're sure that you're going to end up there?
Pretty sure.
Sorry to interrupt, Michelle. I just realised Bryan's also holding a vigil on Sunday. You're here in Cairns. Could you ask him about that?
Yeah,
cool. Thanks, Bryan.
Sorry, I didn't realise you were there.
No, it's all right. Sorry to interrupt.
You're all right, it's all good. Yeah, so you'll be in prison for how long do you think you could be there for?
Oh, look, I think I'll be in prison for the rest of my life. What I've undertaken it's not a light thing, it's a promise to God. And it's that while I'm free, I'll be planning to disrupt and disarm military equipment used for war in Afghanistan and Libya. And I'm not going to do that just once, I'm going to do that every opportunity I have. And so when I first start going to court, the judge will know that to release me on bail will be to see me take further action against military equipment. And I really think they're going to find themselves in a position where they have no choice. They will have to jail me. And I will then work in prison for justice for prisoners, I suppose.
What's your biggest fear of doing this?
Oh, our biggest fear is getting hurt or dying. Always. What's your biggest fear doing this?
I'm not going to jail.
Yet. Unless they catch you.
Bryan, you're holding a vigil here on Sunday. Can you tell us about that?
That's the Anzac Eve Peace Vigil on Easter Sunday this year. It's to commemorate all of the victims of war, to reflect on the original Anzacs, the World War I veterans, and what they had to say about war and peace, and to ask ourselves the question, what would those Anzacs be saying to us today about the wars in Afghanistan and Libya? What would they be saying to us?
Now, when do you go? When do you go to Rocky?
I'll leave here on the 6th of May.
Goodbye Cairns, goodbye life?
Well, goodbye Cairns. You know, I might come back. Who knows what's in the future, but yeah, goodbye Cairns. Not goodbye life, hello life. Life is sweet when you act according to your conscience and do the things you are called upon to do. So I'm not losing life, I'm gaining it.